Welcome to The Naked Truth, where we discuss issues relevant to our lives behind bars. Today here I'm with Mandy Ogunmokun from England, who has an incredible testimony to share with us.
Yes, I work in Holloway Prison. I started as a trainee and then I got promoted to a drug worker, and now I'm part of the senior management in managing every drug and alcohol addict that comes through the prison system. And it's really amazing. I've been working for 5 years and it's my first ever paid job. I used to be a prisoner. I was a heroin and crack addict for 20 years, so I was in and out of Holloway Prison. So it's quite powerful because I'm actually working with women that I've taken drugs with, women that I've stolen with, and women that I've done prison sentence with.
How did you get involved in crime?
My grandmother was a prostitute, my mother was a prostitute, and my dad was a client that used to pay my grandmother money to have sex with my mum. We got taught at a very young age to rob people. I got abused, I got sold to a client when I was 4 or 5 years old. So our household was completely dysfunctional. I'd go out shoplifting with my mum. So when I was young, I wanted to be the best thief.
So crime was pretty much the normal thing in your family. Didn't you have any role models to tell you how to live your life?
I didn't have no role models whatsoever. In fact, when my grandmother died, because we grew up believing my dad was dead, and when my grandmother died, when she was dying, she said, go and find your dad. So when my mum was drunk, I asked her about my dad, and she gave me his telephone number. And my dad ran gambling houses in Soho in the West End. So when the thieves, the drug addicts and the Ponzi's used to come down the gambling houses with stolen stuff, my dad would show his love by buying it for me.
So how did you manage to break free from that kind of environment?
The only way I managed to break out of that, I wanted to be a mum. And I ended up having a baby, and after I had the baby, I started to take heroin. Heroin became my best friend. I neglected my children. I had more children, neglected them, and I could see the same pattern happening. I could see that I was just like my mum. I went to different rehab programs. I went to 5 rehab programs to try and change. I went to day programs. I tried medication. I was desperately wanted to be normal. Right? I ended up going in and out of prison. I left my first baby's father for another man purely because he earned more money. I abandoned my children for 11 years. I felt guilty, I felt shame, but there was nothing I could do. I couldn't change that drug addiction. Along with crime, you're in, out of prison. I've gone back into prison. I ended up going down King's Cross. It's a notorious area where there's a lot of drugs, crime and prostitution. By then I'd become a prostitute, something that I said I'd never do. I sell myself for a bit of powder just to get high, and that's how bad it was. I ended up going down King's Cross and I see this man I knew to be a thief and a robber, and he looked different. He looked really well, and I'm thinking, okay, I need to do something to stop me from going back to prison. Right, so I thought, let me ask this man, find out what is he up to. Because I thought he must tell me because he knows my family, he's going to bring me in. So I said to him, what are you up to? And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, Jesus. So I thought he was robbing the church because I couldn't make no sense from it. So I ended up going along to the church to try and watch how he was getting his money in the church. And when I got in the church, these people kept coming to me being nice, and I was walking around with my arms folded because I was scared. People wasn't nice to me unless they was going to try and take something from me. I certainly wasn't nice to people unless I was going to rob them. So they kept coming and being nice. I kept going back to this church and I couldn't make sense in my head, but I know now that it was God drawing me back there. And one time in the church, a lady asked me, do I want to ask Jesus into my life? And I asked him into my life. I didn't understand it then, but when I left the church, Jesus was on the inside. I left the church, I was still taking heroin, I was still taking crack, I was still thieving, and I was still a prostitute. So I phoned this lady up because I thought if you say this prayer, I'm supposed to change. You know, they're telling me I'm going to have a new life. So I phoned her up and I was mad. You know, I said, I haven't changed. And she said one word, Mandy, the old is gone, you're a new creation. I didn't understand that, but that word went into my spirit. Right? And one day I'm withdrawing for heroin. When heroin calls, you have to go out there and rob. But this time, God brought that word to my mind. The old is gone, you're a new creation. And only God knows, I spoke it. I spoke that word of truth into the withdrawing, and I felt Jesus. Sorry, I have to smile. I felt Jesus lift me above the addiction. At that moment in time, I got addicted to Jesus. Right? I thought, no, I need more of this. Because there is no high like the Most High. And I started to talk to myself in the house. Who are you? What are you? You're going to have to show me. You're going to have to show me, because I can't make sense of this. You're going to have to really become even more real to me. So I've gone round to see my mum, right? And only God. It's only because I had Jesus in me, right? I've gone there for money for crack, but I've ended up saying to my mum, I forgive you. My mum just cried, and she said, I'm sorry. My mum touched my head, just like this, for 60 seconds. And in 60 seconds, I felt the love of a mother and daughter. And I thank God for that, because 3 weeks later, my mum died. But I just hold on to that bonding, that love that I had with my mum.
As an ex-drug addict, you changed your life to live by Christian values. And how easy was it for you to adjust from one life to another?
It's not easy. I mean, I couldn't change. I couldn't change. I had to find a greater power than myself, which is Jesus. And I made mistakes, and I still make mistakes. But the truth is, today I can be real. You know, it's the word of God that does the healing on the inside. People can talk to you on the outside, and it's only through using the words of God that is transforming me. It's the love of Jesus changes people.